want to put up a clip from former President Barack Obama talking about the other AI, the digital AI, and his idea for how this can bring us together or solve our economic crises, et cetera. Here he is.
If you are interested in helping to shape all these amazing questions that are going to be coming up, go to ai.gov and see if there are opportunities for you fresh out of school, or you might be an experienced, tech coder who's done fine, bought the house, got everything set up, and says, you know what, I want to do something for the common good. Sign up.
So here we have a former president saying the government is going to harness AI for, quote, the common good. And, I don't want to be skeptical or cynical at all, but that does sort of make me wonder what's going on here. Any idea?
Again, it's a bit outside my lane. I think I'm sure there's some validity in the message, and there's probably real opportunity in the vertical, as they say. But we have 11 million open jobs right now that we're struggling to fill. None of them involve or require an understanding of AI.
You have 11 million?
Well, 10.8 was the last number I saw, according to the
And
PLS.
what are they exactly?
Well, speaking broadly,
Yep.
most of them don't require a 4-year degree. They require training.
Yep.
Most of them require a willingness to roll up your sleeves and sometimes get your hands dirty. Welders, plumbers, steam fitters, pipe fitters, electricians, heating, air conditioning, so forth. For the last 20 years or so, for every 5 who retire over the course of a year, 2 replace them. It's troubling math. Terrible arithmetic, as Lincoln would have said. And so the skills gap is a real thing. And that part of our workforce has been woefully neglected, beginning really around the time we took shop class out of high school. And we've had our thumb on the scale of education in a very specific way for a long time. We've made a very persuasive case for higher ed, and the former president's making a pretty persuasive case for careers in artificial intelligence. And fine, we can all do 2 things at the same time, I hope. But this thing's right in front of us.
Wait, but if we changed the emphasis on higher education, it's entirely possible we could run out of sociologists at some point, and then what?
There's something to think about.
So, you've been saying this for a long time, pretty much a lone voice, but I've never heard anybody disagree with you.
Huh.
Because on what grounds could someone disagree with you?
I'll
right?
get you a list.
No, but in a substantive way.
Well, what people disagree with is the idea that you can promote one thing without tearing down another. That's the trap that we're in. And that's what happened to us. We higher ed needed better PR. And in the 70s and 80s, we got it. And thank God, we needed more engineers, we needed more scientists. Don't know about sociologists, but the higher education needed a shot in the arm. Unfortunately, we weren't content to simply make the case for higher ed. We had to do it at the expense of everything else. And so trade schools took it in the neck. Community colleges were relegated to something your kid did if they couldn't.
Right.
But it here.
Embarrassing, yeah.
But of course, those forms of education are also attached to a big chunk of our workforce. And so we kind of waged a war on alternative education, or call it lower education if you want, because if it's higher over here, it by definition has to be lower over here. So we drew a real clear line, and we told people that if you don't get the most expensive degree that you can, if you don't take the most expensive path there is, you're going to wind up doing something subordinate. The result is this idea that all these great jobs are essentially vocational consolation prizes. Meanwhile, the opportunities that exist, Tucker, look, I appreciate the kind words. I have been beating the drum for 15 years. Foundation turned 15 on Labor Day. We've helped about 2,000 people get trained in these areas. And I'm telling you, most of my soapbox stuff in the early days was anecdotal. It was what I thought, and it was what I saw on dirty jobs, and it was this feeling that we were affirmatively neglecting a whole lot of opportunity. Now the stats have bolstered that. The headlines have caught up. to my own smack. But most importantly, the people we've helped 5-6 years ago are sitting down with me today and answering questions like, well, how's it going? I'll say. And they'll say, I'll tell you how it's going. You helped me get a welding degree 6 years ago. Today, I own 3 vans, a mechanical contracting company. I've got a plumber, and I've got an electrician that work with me every day. We're all making 6 figures a year. We work when we want. And I hear these stories day after day after day after day. And I look around, and I'm not asking the feds to do anything. I did. I went to Congress 3 times over the years. And I said, guys, we need a better PR campaign for this chunk of the workforce. The math is awful, and we're not going to be having a conversation about, oh my gosh, you mean a plumber can really make that much? We're going to be having a conversation about, what do you mean I have to wait 4 days for a plumber? And that's what's happening now. So, with great respect to Barack Obama, fine, make the case for opportunities in AI, but who the hell is making the case for the opportunity to make this table?
Totally right.
Where is the passion for the prosperity that will surely follow if you take the time to learn a skill that's in demand and work your ass off? That's still for sale. It's still real. And I can't find anybody. And I've looked. I've been out doing this for 15 years.
But there's also, I mean, you make such a rational, logical, fact-based case that, as you suggested, has become indisputable with time. Kind of no arguing it at this point. But there's also something that I'm having trouble describing, but there is something morally or spiritually different and elevated about making things over rearranging things or being a parasite in the real economy. In other words, it's better for you as a person to run a sawmill than it is to be, say, a high-speed trader.
You know,
it is. I just think that, I mean, am I being crazy? And I don't think I'm just being like stupid populist, oh, the working man is always better. No, the working man's sometimes drunk, okay, in the morning. I get it.
Yep.
But I just think the nature of the work matters. If I'm a pornographer, it's probably not good for me. But if I'm, a really skilled drywall hanger, maybe it is.
Of course, yes. But I would only say that it's the trap of the binary again.
Fair.
That's the trap. Do you remember, I guess it was 2016, Republican debates, all 17 are up there, right? They're all doing their thing.
27, something like that.
It's amazing. I forget the exact question, but Marco Rubio's answer was, let me tell you, what we need in this country are fewer philosophers and more welders. So the crowd claps, big applause line. There was a lot of love your comment about sociologists earlier. It's fine. I get it. But what was interesting was like my social channels blew up with people going, hey, this guy's really singing your song. Yeah. I said, actually, no, that's not my point. My point would be what our country needs are more welders who can talk intelligently about Nietzsche or Descartes or Kierkegaard. And we need more philosophers who can run an even bead, okay?
Yes.
It's this idea that a welder is somehow consigned. But look, I don't know where my cell phone is now. There's yours. You and I, with this internet connection, we've got access to something we didn't when we were in school, which is 98% of the known information on the planet. So in my foundation, I try and make the point to the people who apply for our work ethic scholarships. I say, look, this is learn the skill, be great at it. But for God's sakes, go get your liberal arts education, not at Brown. You don't have to borrow all that money to do that. Just be interested, be curious. I watched a lecture 4 nights ago from MIT on my phone for free. Now, I'm not saying it's the same experience, but it's the same information. It's all available. And if that doesn't fire you up, as a curious person, to not be completely engaged by the undeniable fact that most of the known information on the planet is in your pocket and accessible, right? That's a very liberal arts kind of thing to say, but I'm not saying it to your basic liberal arts student. I'm saying it to the welders and the steam fitters and the pipe fitters and the mechanics that have come through our foundation, because the most interesting people on the planet, and I know I'm preaching to the choir, do you know the person who made this desk?
I don't. I wish I did.
I do too, because I guarantee you they got a story.
One of my best friends runs a sawmill. No, I'm all about sawmills.
I'm all about sawmills too, but I'm all about the well-rounded proprietor. I really think that the thing that's most missing today is that balance.
Hey, it's Tucker Carlson. The internet is crowded with interesting things that don't really matter. On TCN, we attempt to bring you interesting things that actually do matter, and a lot of them. Interviews, long form and short, videos, documentaries. You can find all of it on tuckercarlson.com, and we hope you will.